Hello everybody of the Free Haven channel, and hello Larry. I'm really glad that you came here, and we met at LibertyCon.
Yes.
And your presentation you had there was for me the most powerful of all those which I have heard there. So that's why I invited you here, and I'm really glad you accepted my invitation.
Well, thank you very much, Urza. I'm very pleased to be with you and look forward to our conversation.
Okay, for everybody who wouldn't know Larry, he's very, I would say, famous worldwide libertarian, and he is from the Foundation of Economic Education. I think you were a president of this organization, right?
I was for 12 years, and then I retired to the president emeritus role, which is very active, but not the top position that I had for for 12 years.
Do you want to tell anything to our listeners or viewers?
I'd be happy to. If your listeners are not aware of FEE, Foundation for Economic Education, I certainly would like to invite them to the website, which is fee.org, where they will see daily commentary as well as 70 years of archived material on liberty, economics, history, and other topics, and also occasional news about events that we are sponsoring around the world.
Thank you very much. And now I would love if you tell us something about that what you were talking in the presentation. The presentation was about that the liberty and character of people is connected, and if you can put it somehow into some summary, you can talk for, I don't know how long do you want, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, just put it into some nutshell. Maybe I will ask you during that for something, but I would love to hear it again, and I believe that our viewers would love to hear it too.
Okay, thank you, Urza. This is a very important topic that I speak on very widely. I think it needs more attention because so often as believers in liberty, we talk only about what liberty does for our material wealth. And I think combining liberty with character makes the case for liberty so much more persuasive and so much deeper, so much more fundamental. So my topic in Prague was entitled Liberty and Character. Or perhaps we used a slightly different title, Are We Good Enough for Liberty?
Yes.
I have a book by that title, which is available to read for free at fee.org. Are we good enough for liberty? This suggests that there's something about our character that is required if we want to be free. And in my belief, liberty and character are two sides of the same coin. That you're not going to be free, you will not have liberty if, as a people, you are fundamentally dishonest, untruthful, unhumble, timid instead of courageous, irresponsible, pessimistic, or if you lack a grateful spirit. These are some of the important character traits that I usually talk about. Character is really the collection of individual traits that make you up, that make you who you are. And it's one thing over which each and every individual has complete control. Certainly by the time you are an adult, you are in charge of what your character will be. You will decide if you're going to...
I believe that kids too.
What's that?
I believe that kids as well,
yeah,
even if you are not adult.
At some point, even among kids, they begin to sense rather early, even if their parents don't immediately teach these things, they begin to sense right from wrong. They have a sense at some point for, this is mine, that's yours, so I shouldn't take it, that kind of thing. But certainly there comes a point as an adult where you are fully in charge. And now you're in a position as an adult to also teach character by both example and by lecture to those around you, including your children. I don't know of any civilization in history that rose to true greatness. And I don't mean greatness by, having a large army conquering other peoples. I mean greatness in terms of being a good example, leaving the world a better place, improving the standards of life and liberty for people. I don't know of any society that ever achieved that without the people having a very strong personal character. But maybe it's even more important to note that no society that has ever lost its character kept its liberties. In fact, I think this is so important that if a society or a country doesn't get character right, not much else is going to matter. If it doesn't solve its character crisis, if it has one, as many societies do today, if it doesn't solve that, fixing other problems will only be temporary, because ultimately everything springs from character. Whether you are a person of influence, a person who leaves the world a better place because you were here, all depends upon character. Everything else flows from it. So when people ask me, as they often do, no matter what my speech topic may be, when they ask me, what do you think is the most important issue in the world? I always say, well, it's one thing, and it's always been this one thing, and everywhere, and that is character, because everything flows from it. Whether you're free or not flows from your character, and whether you live a happy life also flows from your character. So that, in a nutshell, was the topic I spoke about in Prague in April.
Thank you very much. I like this very much also because I think it's very similar to what I found in my life experience. I'm doing this stuff about anarcho-capitalism like for 15 or 12 years or something like that. And I think like the first half of it, or maybe more, maybe 10 years, I was just focused on the liberty around in the world, like the outer liberty. And a few years ago, I came to such a concept of inner freedom. Like we have the outer liberty, which is like our negative rights are not violated. And but I think there is another concept, and the concept is the inner freedom.
Yes.
And the inner freedom is very much connected with the outer liberty. This is what I am saying in my presentations, because I think that the inner freedom of a person is then imprinted outside, even to other people.
Yes.
Because the more we are free inside, the more we are willing to not touch the other people's liberty outside.
That's right.
Yeah, I also think there is another way how this is influencing. I think that the outer liberty is influencing our inner freedom as well.
Yes.
If I see societies which are in some very bad state, like tyranny, totality, and so on, I think they are raising the worst in people. Like they are, I don't know, bad to each other. They are stealing, or they are, I don't know, telling the governments bad things about their neighbors and so on. And the more free the society is, the more free the people are inside. So I think the first implication is that the more we are free inside, the more there is liberty in the outside world. And the more liberty is in the outside world, the more the inner freedom of people can grow.
Yes, and I think you're exactly right. And I would add this, that freedom is what we are made for. If you look at our very nature as human beings, we're not robots. We're not all the same. Each and every person who has ever existed has been utterly unique, which suggests that for you to be who you are, to be uniquely who you are, you have to have the freedom to exercise your choices. So long as you do no harm to others, you're being you when you make your free choices. If somebody else is telling you at the point of a gun at every turn what to think, what to do, where you can go, and so forth, you're not really living your life. You're not being you. Somebody else is living their life through you. And of course, the moment that happens, if not before, we should be asking such questions as, Well, why do you get to do that? Why can't I turn it around and live my life through you? What makes you special? What gives you some right over
Hmm.
me that I don't have over you? And of course, the claim that one person can rule over another is not justified on moral grounds, even though unfortunately it has more often than not been the rule throughout history.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I would maybe add that even if somebody is pointing the gun on you, you still have some choice.
Yeah,
And I think we are sometimes forgetting this. Like when the state is looking really terrifying, and they are terrifying us with the prisons and jails and fees and so on. I think that we are sometimes tending to forget that we still have the choice, and I think we do. Like good people disobey bad laws,
yeah.
and you still can disobey.
Yes. Yes. In
uh,
fact, there's a great book on that subject that I urge people to read by someone who was in an extraordinarily bad and challenging situation. His name was Viktor Frankl, Frankl. He was a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp, and he survived and later wrote a book. I believe the title is The Meaning of Freedom. I hope I have that title right, but I know I have the author correct, Viktor Frankl.
mhm,
And he talks about how even in such a terrible situation, he still felt as though he could exercise some choice and some freedom, that he could still be to some degree himself by how he chose to react to the situation. So it's
mhm.
a very encouraging book, a remarkable one that tells you that you may have more freedom, at least of conscience, if not of action, even in the most difficult circumstances, and that in itself is a very liberating feeling.
Yes, I think that even if the inner freedom and the outer liberty are very much connected, I think they still are not the same. So there are people who can be free inside of themselves, even in very bad environment, and there are definitely people who are in not so bad environment, but they are making themselves not free from within.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And and if you're not free, you're not being yourself. And at the very least, what you think and how you choose to react to something is still largely in your control.
Mhm, I agree. I want to ask you. You were talking at your presentation about those virtues, like what is necessary for the freedom, like the parts of characters.
Yes,
Could you talk about them again? Like tell me those. I don't know. It was five or some
five or
five
six.
things.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
So can you talk about them for a moment?
yes, I'd be happy to. I always tell people when I talk about these virtues that they are not necessarily, they're not the only ones. And the way I present them may not be in their best order of importance. You can rank them as you choose, but they certainly are among the most important virtues that define personal character. And one is honesty. And this speaks to your perspective on truth. Do you think truth is objective, something to be discovered, something to be latched onto and defended and spoken of as if it's a value in and of itself? Or do you think, as some people do, that truth is relative, it's different from one moment or one person to the next, it's nothing hard and fast, it's whatever makes you feel good? Some
Well,
people talk about
if
what's
I
that?
can, this is the only thing I wasn't agreeing with you 100% because I think that there are two extremes. Like the one extreme is saying there is just one truth and there is nothing else than that, and the other extreme is like everybody has his own truth and so on.
Yeah,
And I think this is very. I think that each of the extremes is maybe not right in general, because I think there are definitely a lot of stuff which are just objectively right or wrong, or right or not. Like you are right or you are not right, and it can be proved. It can be it can be, I don't know, calculated. or it can be logically evolved, whatever. But there are also things which are like, I think, more about, there is a lot of point of view to that, and you can see different, you can see things from different angles. And I still think that there is a place for both of those approaches.
Yeah.
Just it's about in which case you are just now. For example, I don't know, if you are building a plane, there are good and bad algorithms. Some algorithm makes the plane flying, and some algorithm makes the plane just not fly. So it's just obvious, right and wrong. But also there are other stuff which I think are not so much I don't know, pure or so on, because they can be individual. Like for somebody it's better to live his life some way, and for somebody this other way. And I think we can't say universally this is the right way how to live our lives.
I don't know that we disagree. I understand what you're saying. There are things in life that present sort of gray areas and that may differ one to another. They're in a little different category, though, than fundamental truth. For instance, if I were standing next to a 100-foot tall tree, and I were to ask, should I climb this tree? Well, I would say if you are 10 years old and very strong and very safe, and someone is there to catch you if you fall, and you really want to climb the tree, I would say, sure, you should climb the tree. But if I'm 90 years old and very frail, and there's no one nearby to catch me if I fall, I would say it's not true that I should climb that tree. So there's that kind of gray area, but there is such a thing, however, as fundamental truth. And that's a little different from should I climb the tree. A fundamental truth would be, if I fall from 75 feet up in the tree, I probably will get hurt. That's much more clearly true. So to the extent that a truth can be established, then I think we should grab onto it and say, wow, that's valuable. It's good to know what truth is in this case.
Yeah, I agree. So the first is honesty. I think the honesty and when the person is authentic, I think this is really important. What were the next virtues?
Yes, if you can imagine a society of dishonest people, how would you be able to make agreements? How could you shake someone's hand and walk away and say, I have trust, I have if you thought that they would just break their word for the silliest of reasons, I think society would be in chaos in the absence of widespread honesty. Another virtue is a kind of humility. And I always like to tell people, I'm not talking about running yourself down. That some people think humility means going around saying, oh, I'm worthless, I'm not anything, I've never accomplished anything. No, I don't mean that at all. I mean a kind of intellectual humility, a recognition that as much as you may know, no matter how many PhDs you may have next to your name, there is still a universe of knowledge out there in the world that you don't yet know. In other words, don't be a know-it-all. Don't be someone who thinks he knows so much more than anybody else that he could run the lives of other people better than they could. If you recognize that the knowledge you don't know is just as great today as it was 30 years ago, and it'll be just as infinite on the day you die, then you start to think, I guess there must be more room for my improvement than I ever thought. I'm not going to stop learning because there's so much more to learn. So, so recognizing that learning should be a lifelong adventure.
I really like that point. I really like this point you had there, because just the next day after your presentation, I had another presentation which was called "Being Right is Not Enough," and this was exactly about it. And the point of the presentation was like, we need to truly accept that we can be wrong.
Yeah.
And this is good, whether we are right or not. The acceptance of we can be wrong is, I think, incredibly important for the truth-seeking in general.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you from personal experience, maybe different people will react differently, but when I first really appreciated this very point years ago, it sort of changed the way I see the world. It made me far more curious. It made me interested in learning more about everything because I realized that there was so much that I don't know. So I'm curious now about everything. I want to hear about nature. I want to hear about other people's perspectives on life. I want to hear about science. I'm curious about everything because I feel like I'm growing when I'm learning. So that's a second virtue. Another is responsibility. This is the notion that we have an expression in America, step up to the plate, meaning you don't run from admitting you made a mistake. That you say, oh, I did that. I will fix it. I will not blame someone else for it. Just imagine an irresponsible society, just the opposite, would be a society of people who are constantly pointing their finger at other people saying, it's your fault. You need to change, not me, even if it was my mistake. How could you live in such a world where nobody admits to an error, nobody learns from their mistakes and becomes better because of them? Instead, they're just blaming everybody else. An irresponsible society would be one where people say, I'm entitled, give me something, you owe it to me, it's your fault. I don't want to live in that kind of society. And just think, would you want to go to lunch with somebody like that who's constantly blaming you and everybody else for? I mean, they're not good people to be around.
You know what I think? I think this is coming up from schools. I think the main thing what schools are teaching us is to be obedient at first, and the second, mistakes are wrong. And they are also punishing the kid. So if the kid is going to school and the school is teaching him that you can't be wrong, and if you are wrong, you get punished. Then it's really hard to admit mistakes, because you know that if you admitted mistake, you got the punishment. So I think the education system is very much the reason for this.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. It tends to reinforce bad behavior. Another virtue is courage. I can't imagine a society without it. In a dangerous world where there are plenty of people who would do violence to your rights, to your life, to your property, you have to have courage. You have to be willing to speak truth to power. And sometimes the threat from others can be so severe that you may have to put your life on the line to retain your freedom and your property and your choices. So if we lived in a Garden of Eden where everybody, before the apple, if everybody was honest and treated you with respect, I suppose courage would not make a whole lot of difference. But we don't live in that kind of world. We live in a world where there are plenty of people who would be happy to take from you your life, your property, your choices, if they thought they could do so and get away with it. So we have to be courageous. Now, this is a virtue that comes in different measures to different people. And sometimes you may think you know someone and you might not view them as a person of great courage, but given the right circumstances, they may really shine. There are a lot of people who seem to be just quiet, even timid people, but when they're faced with a mortal threat, sometimes they rise up in righteous anger and deal the enemy the blow that he needs. And I'm grateful for such people. I'm constantly asking myself, wow, if I was in such a situation, would I have the courage to act as that person did? I hope so, but I don't know so, because it comes in different measures to different people at different times. But I do know this, I'm grateful for men and women of courage.
I think you're very much right, and I think there is a very important point in what you just said. It's I think it's good to not underestimate people, because we never know who is reacting how in which situation. And I can agree with you that there are people which I didn't thought they would be so courageous, and they were when it came to it. So yeah, the not underestimating is, I think, the key to see the people as they are.
Yes, yes, I think so. Another virtue is optimism. And this deals with your outlook or your perspective on the future. Do you think of it as something you can make a difference over, that might well be good if you work hard for what you know to be right? Or do you think that all is lost, the world is going to hell, no difference in whether you do anything to change it or not? I mean, I tell people that optimism is a very empowering attitude. If you are optimistic, well, then you tend to work hard for what you know to be right, because you know you can make a difference. The future isn't laid out in advance. It depends upon how we act and how we think. If you're pessimistic, there are a couple bad things that happen. If you think that, you know, the world is going to hell, nothing you can do about it, well, then you're not going to work very hard for what you know to be right, because you've already given up. And which is really weird, because why would you give up on something that hasn't happened yet?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the future. Nobody does. And as long as we don't know it, we still have the opportunity to make a difference. So that's one bad thing that happens if you are pessimistic. A second bad thing is that other people will not follow you. You will not be a person of influence. If you tell people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, yeah, I believe in things, but they're not going to happen, and I'm very pessimistic. Well, people will say, well, why would I want to sign up for your cause? If you tell me it's lost before I even engage, well, then what's the point? I'll go do something else. So if you want to be a person of influence, you have to express yourself in an optimistic way that, hey, this is right, this is good, we can make a difference. The world will be better because of what we can do to make it better. You'll be more persuasive, more convincing. You'll bring more people to your cause than if you tell them everything is lost before they even start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you quite in anything what you just said. I really appreciate those virtues at people, and I am trying to working on them in myself.
Yeah.
However, as I was thinking about it in that my theory of outer liberty and inner freedom, I came to that the inner freedom is quite opposite of fear. Like, I think that the more you are afraid and you can't work with it, the less you have of the inner freedom.
Yes.
As well as the more you can work with that fear. Like, you know, if you are afraid, you can't just make it not happen, but you can work with it with different ways.
Yeah.
And I think, as you were talking there at the LibertyCon, and I want to ask you about it, I think that all of those virtues are also opposite to the fear. I think, like, when we are acting opposite to those virtues, I think fear is the reason. I don't think there is so much other reasons than fear, because when I imagine it, like the humility, I am afraid that the people would think I am stupid if I would acknowledge my mistake. The honesty, this is very obvious. I am afraid to be honest. The courage is the immediate opposite of the unhandled fear. And also the others, what you mentioned, I think that the fear is the mutual key to the opposite of those virtues. Do you agree with me in this?
Yes, I think you're right. I think if you don't believe in honesty, responsibility, and if you're not courageous, and all these things tend to deprive you of your inner freedom, and then you're afraid of everything. You know, the fewer of these virtues that you practice and believe in, the more fearful, I should say, you will be in a dangerous world. You won't know how to deal with dangers and risks that come your way. But if you go into the future confident, knowing that certain things are right and you believe in them, and that you're a constantly learning person, well, then all sorts of things open up to you. You have some inner freedom. You're being yourself. I feel terribly about people who go through life fearful of everything, won't try anything new, don't want to experience other cultures and other people, want to live in their own little shell because it somehow makes them feel safe. They're missing so much. Oh my gosh. No matter what you do, just sitting at home in a chair is a risky thing. I mean, you could have a heart attack because you're not up and moving. So get out and move and experience and learn new things. I think that you'll shake whatever fears that you have to the extent you face them head on and experience life as it's meant to be.
Because I think that anybody can, anybody wants to be such a person you just mentioned. Everybody wants to be humble, everybody wants to be, I don't know, honest, everybody wants to be responsible and positive. But I think people are afraid what will happen if they try it. As well, the responsibility, like the responsibility is also the other phase of the fear. Like either you are responsible, like you said, the step on the plate. So I think the thing which is keeping you outside of the plate, that you don't step on it, is exactly the fear.
Yeah.
And
And I think if you have a lot of fear, you're not going to have a lot of peace. Inner peace comes from inner confidence that you are a good person, that you treat others with respect. And I just think a key to a happy life is embracing these virtues wholeheartedly. And there's one more, by the way, that we haven't yet talked about, and that is the virtue of gratitude, of having a grateful or thankful spirit. There's work on this by bioethicists that indicate a grateful spirit actually can add years to your life. This is the notion that, or the understanding that not all the good things that have come your way have been entirely of your own doing. That's what gratitude is. You recognize that, wow, good things have happened to me, and they weren't always at my initiative. Good things came my way because a parent fed me, gave me good ideas, helped raise me, corrected my mistakes. Good things came my way because an entrepreneur took some risks and created products and gave me things I never knew had even existed. Lots of good things. In any given day, good things are coming your way all the time. If you have a grateful spirit, you will smile when those things come your way. And if the person who provided those good things or did those good things is nearby, you will thank them. And as I told the audience in Prague, expressing thanks is so easy. And it usually brings a smile both to you and to the person you're thanking. For a moment, you've raised the level of happiness on both your part and that of the person you're thanking. So why more people don't say thanks more often is beyond me, because it's one of the most costless ways to, for a moment at least, to improve life, both yours and other people's.
Yeah. I think that gratitude is one of the biggest gift of the God which He gave to me, because I feel the gratitude quite all the time, and I'm grateful for many things, and I have it for free. I don't need to work on this one.
Yeah.
Like other virtues I need to work on somehow, but the gratitude is here for me all the time, and I think it's making my life much more easier and also much more happy. That because I am grateful for many things which are just happening any moment, and I feel it inside so strong.
Yes.
And I am also grateful for having it like that.
Oh, that's a great way to express it. But you know, not everybody is that way. Every day I see people who miss an opportunity to say thank you to someone. I see people who don't seem to be very happy. They think they're a victim of everybody, or they can't bring themselves to smile and say, thank you for doing that. It's so easy to do, and it makes everybody feel better. I just wish more people felt that way.
I want to use this opportunity to thank you for coming to Prague to have this presentation and to be here with me and talk to me, because I am really grateful even for this.
Well, thank you, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. It makes me do better next time, gives me more practice.
I want to ask you if there is something what you can recommend to people if they want to somehow approach to those virtues, like how to get to them. Like everybody would say, I want that,
Yeah.
but how would you practice them, or how are you doing it in your everyday life?
I can offer several pieces of advice there. Much of what we've just talked about is found in the philosophy of the Stoics, the Stoic philosophers, Stoic. So I always recommend to people to read more into Stoicism, because it will strengthen your character. It will strengthen your ability to deal with things around you. It will tend to keep you even-tempered so that you don't allow other things to radically change your attitudes. And one of the best Stoic philosophers of our time is a young man named Ryan Holiday. Anything he writes, I recommend. He's probably the most popular Stoic philosopher of our day, and I think his books are in many languages. Another good book I recommend is...
It's probably not an accident that a lot of libertarians are somehow Stoics, or at least know that philosophy or so on.
Yeah. To be a libertarian in a non-libertarian world, I think you almost have to be a Stoic.
Oh, there's probably some technical issue. Do you hear me still? I will probably wait for a moment. And I will try if my connection is okay. So, it's probably Larry disappeared. So I will wait if he's going to come back. Or is it me? No, it's not me. No. My connection is okay, but Larry's gone. Come back, Larry, please. Oh. This doesn't look good. Ah.
Now, can you hear?
Hi, Larry.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. It said suddenly your mic is not working. So I got out and then came back in.
Thank you.
Okay.
You disappeared for a while.
Okay. I think I was about to recommend another book. And this book is entitled The Charisma Myth. When it comes to charisma, there's a common mistaken feeling that, either you have it or you don't. If you have charisma, you must have been born with it. And if I wasn't born with it, then I can't ever develop a charismatic personality. Well, this book by Olivia Cabani, spelled C-A-B-A-N-E, has a gem of advice on every page. And her argument is that, no. Charisma can be developed. It can be, if you're not a charismatic person but want to be, there are things you can do to increase your charisma that will make people want to listen to you. And so that's a fantastic book. I hope it's in multiple languages. It's been out now for maybe 10 years. And then I also recommend to people that they read biographies of great men and women who have made a difference, whose personalities were commanding, that people wanted to listen to because they were not hypocrites. They were truthful people who had something to say. They possessed many of the virtues that we've talked about. If any of your listeners would ever like a list of such biographies, I can send that list by email to you, Urza, and then they can email you. You can share that
Oh,
list with them if you'd like.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I would be happy for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. I'll send it as soon as we're finished. So, but when you find somebody who you instinctively feel is an appealing person because of their character, well, then pay attention to them. Try to learn from them. Spend time with them. Find out
Yeah.
what motivates them. And we all know such people. And I think we have a lot to learn from them if we just open our eyes and spend some time with them.
I absolutely agree. This is something which is working for me for many years, that if I see somebody with some of those virtues or even other ones, if I just live with that person,
Yes.
it's infecting me as well, and I really love it. So I think it's very important to pick people which you want to live with, because they are influencing you all the time, and you can learn from them all the time. So I think I'm very picky to which I want to spend my time with, because I believe that I'm all the time influenced by the people around me, and I'm incredibly thankful to them that they are still here with me.
Yeah, I mean, just think of Socrates, 2,500 years after he lived. We still talk about him, even though he was not known for making, lengthy speeches. He was known for encouraging others to give their thoughts by asking them very pointed questions. Well, I think the so-called Socratic method is very powerful, because what that says to the person you're talking to is that you really do value what their thinking is. You're not just telling them, now sit down, keep quiet, and listen to me. Instead, you're saying, I want to hear where you're coming from. What do you think of this? How did you come to that conclusion? I share that because I think that's a way to show other people you have respect for their opinions, and both you and they will learn from the questions you ask.
Okay, that's interesting, and I want to ask you for your own life and your own experience. Like, can you tell me some moments or points, or maybe, I don't know, even some stories or whatever, what happened to you that how did you came to this? How did you discover those virtues? And is there something would helped you to move forward to them, like not just reading but also the living, like what you did in your life, what just showed you how to do it better?
Yeah, I would have to say it started with my father, who was very different from my mother. I mean, I loved them both, but I learned so much more when it came to these virtues from my father. And sometimes I learned from him because of the contrast with my mother's behavior. She was a much more wild character, you might say. But my father was always even-tempered. He was thoughtful. He looked for opportunities. I didn't realize it at the time, but I look back and I say, wow, he was looking for an opportunity to teach me something. And he was never a hypocrite. What you saw was what you got. He never said, do as I say, not as I do. And that had a big impact on me. He was a very generous man. And that showed up when he would give somebody something because they did something for him. He was always generous, even if he didn't have the money. He would be as generous as he could be. He also taught me some of my earliest libertarian instincts. He ran a small business, and he did not like it when government at any level would meddle in his business. And especially if he thought there was no reason for it other than somebody just wants to exercise control. They're not benefiting anybody. They're just forcing me to walk through all kinds of barriers to make them feel better. So, for instance, we lived about 11 miles in Pennsylvania, 11 miles from the neighboring state of Ohio. And it was illegal in Pennsylvania to bring milk in from Ohio and sell it in Pennsylvania. because the Pennsylvania state government fixed the price of milk, and they didn't want anybody undercutting the price with cheap Ohio milk. Well, my dad thought there was no justification for that law, that it was a peaceful matter for us to drive over to Ohio, buy some milk, and bring it back and sell it to our neighbors. And so we did that quite often on weekends. And, you know, and it was fun. We were milk smugglers, you might say, smuggling milk. But my dad's attitude was, if stupid laws should not just be protested against, they should be broken. If doing so does not do any harm to anybody, well, then breaking a stupid law will probably, sooner or later, if enough people do it, will lead to the repeal of that stupid law. So he taught me a spirit of defiance. And, you know, this is what Jefferson talked about. He said, in fact, Jefferson even said, as our third president, that everybody ought to have a revolution every 20 years just to teach the powers that be who's in charge. And so I think my father gave me some of those early libertarian tendencies. He said, be faithful to the truth and to what's right, not just some idiot politician's orders.
I think with the milk, that's a great example about that there is some law, and as you were breaking it, you were earning some money by it, but you were also helping the people around you.
Yeah.
So I think this is exactly like people can point on, like, you see, they break the law and make the money by it, but they usually don't see, like, okay, you break the law, earn the money, but also you help other people to have cheap milk, and you also have those farmers to sell that milk. So it's just benefiting for everybody there. And I think this is like great example. It's not just not harming people, it's helping a lot of people around you.
Exactly. It was a victimless crime. Everybody involved was thankful that we were doing it. The farmer in Ohio who raised the cows and sold us the milk, the neighbors who bought the milk from us appreciated that they could get it cheaper, didn't have to make the trip themselves over to Ohio. Everybody benefited. Only the bureaucrats and the stupid legislators were unhappy. But everybody actually involved in this affair benefited, or they wouldn't have either sold or purchased the milk.
Yeah, I like this, and this is which is bringing me to when I talk to socialists or statists or people who love the state and the establishment and the system. I usually see that they are very often talking of libertarians like they are the greedy guys who are just bad and who are just about the money and just about just to earn as much as possible and not look what's doing to people around you. Why do you think it's so much common that the socialists are thinking of libertarians like we are just bad guys?
Well, I wish I could say that human nature was always and everywhere good, but it isn't. There are certain elements of human nature that we have to rise above. One of them is an attitude of envy, the notion that, oh, it's bad for somebody to have more than me. I think that's deeply embedded. I don't know where it goes back to, but it seems to be with us throughout history. The notion that if you have more than me, that's wrong, and you're somehow making me a victim. That's just poor economics. It's driven by a very selfish attitude that I need to have more because you've got more than I do. You know, the Bible teaches us to count our blessings. Don't count the other guys, count your blessings. Because if you focus on the other guy's blessings, then you're going to say, oh, he's got more than me, I should take that. You know, that leads to a very destructive path. So there are elements of human nature that good and honest people have to recognize and rise above. That's what life is, a struggle against all the temptations to do bad things. Life the right things, even if for the moment it may be tempting to do the bad thing. And that really ends up polishing our character. Experiencing these challenges is a way to ultimately make yourself stronger because well, for the same reason, if you have a raw diamond, how do you polish it? Well, you don't do it with a ball of cotton, right? That's not going to polish a diamond. You have to tumble it. You put it in something hard and you shake the hell out of it. And and then the end result can be a beautiful diamond, but it doesn't get there without some challenges along the way.
And do you think there is something else than the envious people? Like, okay, somebody can envy, but there can be something more. I am thinking about it like, what can I do as a libertarian to change the picture of libertarians to not be seen as bad guys? I think I really like what you do, because if you talk, even if you are economist, even if you talk, it's not about like money and so on. It's about the virtues, which I really like. But I'm just thinking, what can we as libertarians do to not be looked at as the bad guys?
Well, I like to tell people, socialists in particular, I say, you socialists always say that we are the ones interested in money. But I know entrepreneurs who are in their business because of the fulfillment that they get from solving problems, inventing things, making life better, having happy customers. They're motivated by so many wonderful things, not just the desire to pile up gold coins and play with them, but you socialists, all you ever think about is money.
That's right.
Yeah, you see people with money and you want to take it. And you think that you can solve other people's problems by giving them money. And I'm telling you, there's so much more to life than money. And yet it's socialists who are always talking about it. They think every problem stems from somebody having money, and every solution comes from taking money and giving money to somebody else. So who is it that's thinking most about money? I think socialists. That's what they're always focused on.
It's funny that you are saying it, because this is something that I was talking about in few months, like several times, like that when you are talking to socialists, it's usually about money. And also when they are talking about equality or equity or so on, they are all the time talking about material equality, equity, or that the people should be materially equal. But they just miss that there is a lot of another points in which we are just not equal, and we will never be equal. Like somebody can be more smart, somebody can be more strong, somebody can be more, I don't know, whatever, gorgeous, and there's a lot of stuff we will be never equal. And when the politicians start to talk about equality, they almost always are talking about the material equality. And I think this is quite pointless to make people equal in the money way, if there is a lot of, I think, much more important inequality which would be left there.
That's right. And if you could somehow make everybody equal economically, if you could snap your fingers and everybody, regardless of their contribution in the marketplace, was equal to everyone else, they have the same income, same material wealth, well, 5 minutes later, they would be unequal again, because some people would save it, some people would spend it, some would invest it well, others would squander it. Some would stop working and therefore stop growing. Other people would use it for much better things. So this whole idea that making people equal in a purely material sense is somehow a good thing, it's not only not a good thing, but it can never be anything more than a very short-lived experience, because people will once again be themselves and they'll have inequality within seconds.
I think as people are different, it means that they are not equal, and because they are different. And if you make them equal, you are making them not free by that.
That's right.
You can't make them equal and free as long as they are different person.
Yeah, and when you explore socialism very much at all, you realize rather quickly that the socialism isn't a bunch of helpful tips for better living. I mean, it's force. what socialists want to accomplish, they want to accomplish through the use of force. They want to take, they want to seize, they want to confiscate. And they don't care, sometimes they don't care what happens once they take it. You know, I think a lot of socialists have such envy and hatred for those better off than them, that they would be perfectly happy if we just took the wealth of the wealthy and threw it in the ocean. They would feel as though they somehow accomplished something just because those people don't have it anymore, even if nobody else has it. I think they would feel better for having taken it. And they need to search their souls, because that is a very nasty, unappealing motivation, the desire to drag somebody down in the belief that somehow it will make us feel better as a result.
Thank you for this. And I want to, for the end, ask you for such one economical question, because you're also an economist, and I prefer the, I don't know, the personal freedom. I talk about it. I like to talk about it more than about the economist freedom, but I like both.
Yes.
About the economy, if you can make that every person in the world would know one thing of economy, which one would it be?
That's a good question. If every person could know one thing on economics, what would it be? I guess it would be nobody spends somebody else's money as carefully as he spends his own. That's not original with me. The economist Milton Friedman was famous for driving this point home. But what it says to people is, it says that private property is a wonderful thing, because when it's yours, you tend to take care of it. If you want to trash the resources of any society, well, just take those resources from some and give it to others, and they will not take care of it as well as the person to whom it first belonged. I think that's so critical. If a society does not get that right, its economy will be in terrible shape, which means people won't live very well. They'll not be fed, they'll not be clothed, they'll not be housed, because people will not have the incentive to create wealth if it's simply going to be taken and spent by somebody else.
Yeah, that's really nice thought. If I would have such a power to make people know something about economy, I would maybe, and it's similar to yours, but I would maybe make them know and understand the subjective theory of utility, like the theory that the utility is subjective.
Yes.
And I think it's very similar to what you just said.
That's right, that all value is subjective.
Yeah, value.
It comes from up here, exactly. In your head. Yep.
So it's really hard for me to talk English for so long, but I really love it. I love to talk to you. But to the end, I want to ask you if there is something that you want to tell the people, because a lot of mainly libertarians, but not just libertarians, are listening to us.
Yes.
I suppose that quite a lot of people can watch this video. So is there something what you want to say? And you can also make some whatever commercial to whatever your project or whatever you want.
Okay. Well, maybe it would be best to close on the point that we made at the start, and that is the connection between liberty and character. So let me just say to your viewers, Urza, that never underestimate the importance of your character. It's never too soon to invest in it. If you work to improve all those virtues in yourself that we talked about, I think you'll be amazed at the doors that will open for you, at the influence that you can have, at the other people who will come to you and say, tell me more, I admire you, I'd like to learn from you. You can make the world a better place if you first make yourself a better person. I don't think a bad person is going to be of much good influence. So character really is at the core of being a person of influence. And that isn't just by what you say, it's by what you do. And so many people talk a good line, but then they don't behave the way they talk. And most others will see that as hypocrisy and not give them the time of day. So invest in character. It's never too soon. You'll never regret it. Someday you want to be in a position where you can look back on your life and say, wow, I wasn't perfect, of course, because I'm human. But once I knew what the right thing was, I tried my best to live by it, to uphold it. I can be proud of the difference that I made. The world is a better place because I was in it. There are lots of people who can't honestly say that, and that's a shame. But you're in charge of your life. Be the best person you can be, and you'll be amazed at the difference you can make.
Thank you very much, Larry. This was really nice ending to this call.
Thank
So have a nice day, and thank you for giving me this time.
Thank you, Urza, and thank you for all the good work you do for liberty. And now that you know how to reach me, anytime I can be of any help, just shoot me an email and let me know. And if your travels bring you to the United States, you're more than welcome to visit here in Georgia. I have plenty of room, and I would enjoy showing you around my part of the country.
Thank you. This is really nice. Maybe I will use it one day.
Okay,
So
I hope so.
have a nice day.
I have a lot of foreign visitors, and I always love it when they come by. So hope to see you here someday.
Thank you very nice. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.